Hello Rogers TV, welcome to Smart Money, the show where we teach you how to make the best use of your money to reach your goals in the most efficient way possible. Consider me your financial GPS. I'm your host, Mitchell Huynh. This week, we answer a few of your questions as well as interview a doctor who is also a co-founder of a company in the educational space. Unfortunately, I could only select a few questions. Most of the questions had a common theme of debt. For everyone else's questions, be sure to check your emails as I will answer all your questions within 2 to 3 weeks. And please do continue emailing or tweeting me your questions. So our first question is, am I contributing the right amount to my Rrsps? There's no cookie-cutter answer to this question, as everyone's situation is slightly different. The first thing you must do is check to see if your employer has an RRSP matching program, and if so, how much do they match? Always contribute enough to get the full matching. Next, consider your current and future tax brackets. If you expect to be in a higher tax bracket later, it may be best to contribute in years of higher income tax than now. Your RRSP contribution room will carry over to future years if you don't use it, so don't worry about losing that room. In retirement, you will need to draw on your savings as a source of income, so make sure you minimize your taxable income as much as possible. You are retired and no longer working, so why continue paying income tax when you don't need to? RRSPs are fully taxable income when you withdraw them. So if you expect to receive a strong pension in retirement, perhaps it's best to contribute to your TFSA instead. Our next question is, how can I pay off my debt? Being debt-free is great, but many Canadians make the mistake of putting everything they have into paying off their mortgage. Remember, you can't feed your family by selling the bricks from your house. Have a healthy balance of being asset wealthy and cash wealthy. Figure out which debts are costing you the most money and pay them off first, which means pay off all your high interest debts first. These are generally credit cards, then lines of credits, then your mortgage. You want to identify problem expenditures and discretionary expenses and figure out how you're going to avoid money pits. Consolidate your loans, and if possible, to a lower interest rate. You're not going to get out of debt overnight, but you will get there a lot quicker by proactively outlining a strategy. And next, is it better to pay off your entire monthly balance or just the minimum or somewhere in between? Never, ever, ever pay just the minimum. Let me stress that again. Never pay the minimum. Paying off the monthly balance is beneficial to both you and your creditor. It builds history, which is good for your score, shows you're responsible, and you're never charged interest. This goes double for credit cards and other high interest loans. Next, how can I increase my credit score? The easiest way is to pay off your balance in full every month. If you can't do so, you must pay at least the minimum, as this will protect your current score from decreasing. Of course, just paying the minimum, you will be exposing yourself to interest costs. Next, you want to use your credit card monthly to build strong history, but never keep a balance if you don't need to. And also, don't use more than 75% of your limit on each credit facility. What I mean by that is, if your credit card has a limit of $1,000, don't go over $750. Your credit score impacts basically your entire adult financial life, so it's important to know what it is and continue to improve it. What is good debt? The answer to this question varies on your circumstances. Only you can really determine whether or not your debt is good or bad. Using low interest debt to create additional income for yourself is generally good debt. Examples of this would be student loans, your mortgage, or an investment loan, as hopefully higher education will result in higher levels of income. Putting your money into your own property rather than renting is like paying yourself rent and having an asset that will increase in value over many years. Or using a secure line of credit to invest in higher returning equities. It is also good to note that investment loan interest is deductible against your income. Higher investment returns and lower income tax sounds like a deal to me. We'll take a deeper dive into this in our next season. But remember, running up $30,000 in personal credit card debt to live beyond your means is definitely not good debt. How much should I put into an emergency fund? Your safest bet is to have 3 to 6 months worth of your total living expenses. So that's your rent or your mortgage, food, transportation, and other monthly bills. You want to tuck that away for emergencies. That way, if you suddenly lose your job or you fall upon hard times, you can maintain your lifestyle without racking up major debt. The bottom line is everyone needs an emergency fund. And yes, you should have this cushion established before you fund a vacation or anything else fun. Next, we sit down with Dr. Hu, plastic and reconstructive surgery resident at McMaster University and co-founder of an educational services company, to speak about investing in yourself, the do's and don'ts of planning for education, in particular, med school. Welcome back to Smart Money. We are here with Dr. Hu, who completed his doctorate of medicine from the University of Toronto and is currently a plastic and reconstructive surgery resident at McMaster University. On top of this, he is also the co-founder of a company called MD Consultants, which guides prospective medical students through the med school application process, as well as a residency application with an extremely high success rate. Thank you for being here with us today, Dr. Hu.
Thank you for having me here, Mitch.
Awesome. Yeah, so education is actually one of the greatest investments you can make in yourself, as we already outlined in our previous episodes. Your greatest asset is actually your ability to produce an income. Therefore, any activity which increases your ability to produce an income is a valuable investment. However, with any type of investment, we need to have specific and measurable goals to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of that investment. So this is where careful planning will save you time and money. Dr. Hu, why don't you begin about telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Okay, thanks again for having me, Mitch, and hi everyone. So just a bit about myself. I was born in China, and I completed up to grade 7 before I moved into Australia. And after high school in Australia, I then moved to Canada to complete my undergraduate studies as well as medical school. Okay. Currently, I'm studying at McMaster University in a plastic surgery residency. And I would say I had a long-term interest in the field of medicine. Thinking back to probably elementary school, I was thinking about applying for medicine, and even in high school, I had the interest of applying to plastic surgery. So I would say I had a long-term interest in my field.
Okay, perfect. So it seems like you have your mind set on medicine ever since a young age. Would you say that attributed much to your success, and how early should our viewers be planning for their future careers?
I would say early planning for education or for a career definitely helps. I wouldn't say it's necessary, but definitely helps you better evaluate your career options, your interests, your strengths and weaknesses, and perhaps talk to some mentors or experienced personnel in the field to better understand whether or not this is a suitable career for you. So I would say early planning definitely helps a lot. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And can you outline maybe a little bit about kind of the social aspect and the academic perspectives of the planning?
Sure. So from an academic perspective, what I mean by early planning is before you go into university, think about what courses to take or even which university to take. When I first came to Canada, unfortunately, I didn't know a lot about the schools in Canada. I basically choose by reputation. So I went to University of Toronto, which is world-renowned, and when I was in Australia, it's one of the few schools that I know about. Right. So I basically picked the school based on reputation rather than doing more research to see the unique features of a variety of schools in Canada to see which one better fits me. Having said that, I would say I had a great experience at the University of Toronto, but in retrospect, I wish I had more opportunities to seek mentors to better evaluate my academic options back then. And perhaps I would have picked courses that are more suitable for my personal interests as well as skill sets, rather than just based on their course reputation. From a social perspective, I would say other than having a supportive family who help you to carry on throughout your education and your career, it's also important to have a circle of friends who are also very supportive and hopefully trying to achieve a common goal, and in this case, studying medicine. So when I was at University of Toronto, we co-founded the pre-medical club. It's a little bit exclusive because we want to keep cohesive group of members who know each other well and able to help each other through both social difficulties as well as academic difficulties.
Right.
And the club was called Magna, and we had about 30 members with weekly interactions. Interactions, whether it's studying or having some fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say over the years, 90% of us got into medical school,
Right.
and we still support each other both socially and professionally in our career.
Right. Okay, that's amazing. 90%. That is quite a feat there.
Mm-hmm.
And with any type of business venture, I guess networking and maintaining ties is extremely important.
Right.
And so I know we talked about the social, academic. Can you speak to us a little bit about the financial planning and the financial commitment needed to pursue a medical career?
Sure. So before I tell you about all the financial options and all the big debts you get into, I'll give you a brief timeline of what it takes to be a physician.
Perfect.
So after you complete your high school, depending on where you are, if you're in North America, typically you do an undergrad degree for 4 years, maybe followed by some graduate school. And then medical school can be another 3 to 4 years, and then residency can be another 2 to 5 years.
Right.
So overall, it may take 13 to 15 years before you become a physician who's able to practice independently.
Wow. Okay.
If you do study overseas, for example, Australia and UK, you may be able to get into medical school after high school, which is a 6-year process. And their residency training is usually 3 to 7 years.
Right.
So overall, it takes about the same amount of time to become a physician, regardless of where you are.
Okay.
So talking about the cost involved, in Canada for the 4 years of undergrad, tuition is about $5,000 to $6,000 a year, depending on where you go.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I had back then. Now I had maybe much more.
Right.
Medical school 4 years, usually about $20,000 a year.
Wow. Okay.
So overall, looking at your cost, including living costs, which is again about $10,000 a year. So your overall cost could be $200,000 over the years.
Wow. Okay.
So it's quite
quite
impressive. It's a big investment, right?
Yes.
But there are also other options to help you pay for some of the fees. For example, apply for government loans, government bursaries, school bursaries, being able to be paid for research during the school year or in the summer, which is actually very common in our group of student body.
Right.
And then as well as some scholarships, which unfortunately most are not advertised to the general public. So here's once again where networking on the social as well as academic level really help, because people who are more experienced are able to tell you which other financial options there are that's available. And then I should mention, as a medical student, you can also apply for line of credit through the banks.
Right. Okay.
And just before I go on, one more thing. So as a resident, we do start to get paid.
Okay.
It's not impressive salary. You may be able to pay off some of your debt, but the majority of your debt will be paid off once you're a fully staffed physician.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of money. I know you mentioned $200,000 in total cost. No wonder doctors graduate with so much debt. So if you're planning on going to med school, or if your parents are planning on sending you to med school, make sure you start saving and investing now.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Hu, you spoke about a bit of the importance of career planning and social planning. How does MD Consultants and what services do you provide to kind of guide students and prospective students along the way?
Right. So before I talk about MD Consultants, I want to talk about, on the personal level, I was quite involved in helping other students at the University of Toronto to better invest in their future career, especially a medical career.
Right.
When I was an undergrad student there, I wish we had more seminars geared towards medical school application, interview, as well as looking for jobs in the future.
Right.
So right now, I collaborate with the Career Center at the University of Toronto, giving talks at multiple career sessions, including the annual interview session for medical school preparation.
Right. Awesome. Oh.
So other than from a personal level, from a organizational level, a couple of medical school classmates and I co-founded MD Consultants when we started medical school back in 2009.
Right.
We knew it was a good strategy to accumulate our wisdom, our advice, our experiences to better help other students invest in their future career.
Right.
And over the past 7 years, we've helped close to 1,000 students to reach their career goal, which is within the life sciences field. And that's mainly by connecting pre-medical students with mentors who are already in the medical field to better help out with their education and career. And we also have networking events about once or twice a year to keep everybody in touch. I would say students are most grateful for our services when we help them to get into medical school locally rather than overseas, because not only do they save a lot of money, the chances of being able to practice medicine in Canada is also much higher if you did medical school here rather than overseas. If you study overseas, the tuition fees and the cost could be twice as much as what I just mentioned to you before. So it's a big difference, and we hope to carry on this initiative to help more students.
Right, excellent. That's amazing. 1,000 clients from when you first started until now for a hands-on service company. That's a great feat to have.
Thank you.
And so I know you have a book that's out, your guide on getting into med school. How can our future doctors get a copy of that?
Right. So we recently wrote a book which aims to answer the vast majority, perhaps 90% of the questions that pre-medical students have. This was completed with over 30 international colleagues, mostly in the medical field, and the majority are within North America. This book will be available for free very soon on hard copies as well as on Amazon, and that's generally for any parents or pre-medical students. Currently, the book is available on website guidetomed.com, and the full name of the book is titled Your Guide to Getting into Medical School. Okay, that's amazing. That's great that you've collaborated and produced this great asset to have for future doctors out there. And so really quickly, just tell our viewers how they can contact you if they have any future questions. So you can visit the book. Actually, it will have my contact information there, or you can visit our organization website, mdconsultants.ca, or email me at my first name dot last name, jiayi.hu@mdconsultants.ca. That would be the 3 ways to contact me.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you again for spending some time with us today, Dr. Hu. And we look forward to having you on future episodes when we speak to other successful startup entrepreneurs about their experiences in starting a company for all of our aspiring business owners out there. That's all the time we have for today. Tune in next season as we continue to explore more advanced personal and business financial strategies along with a host of industry experts. If you have any questions in the meantime, continue to email me at mitch@smartmoney.ca. That's mitch@smrtmoney.ca, or tweet me at Mitchell Huynh. Once again, I'm your host, Mitchell Huynh, signing off until next season. Thank you to all of our viewers, and see you next time on Smart Money on Rogers TV.